And now let's get back to the Beige Book here. The Cleveland Fed Bank, one of 12 regional Fed banks that contributes economic surveys to the Beige Book. The regional economies it covers, including Ohio, Pennsylvania, West Virginia, and Kentucky, generally mirror the overall tone of the Beige Book. Some signs of improvement, some of stability, and others still in a slump. We get a first-hand look now of part of that region with James Rokakis. He's the treasurer of Cuyahoga County, and he's joining us from Cleveland. So thanks very much for talking to us about what we are hearing in the Beige Book report, but also, obviously, you're on the ground there. And even though this, looking at all of the Federal Reserve districts, is seeing some stabilization, that's not necessarily happening where you are, is it?
No. In fact, last month was the 163rd month in a row that Ohio lagged behind national job growth. 163 months in a row. I expect this month will be 164 months. We lost about 150,000 jobs in this state last year, and so far in the first 9 months, we've lost 175,000 jobs. So, no, things don't look too good on the ground here.
And it's because your area has been so reliant on manufacturing historically, correct?
Well, manufacturing, but I think we've also suffered in other ways. We don't lead in foreclosures now, but this region, this county, led the country between 2000 and 2006. Now, we're not even in the top 25 anymore because California, Nevada, Arizona, and Florida have blown past us. But in 2006, the last year this county led the country in foreclosures, we had 13,500 foreclosures in this county. We're going to have 14,000 this year, but it's only because other parts of the country are so much worse that we're not in the top 25. The cumulative impact on this region over the past 10 years has been devastating. The loss of wealth in Cuyahoga County because of foreclosures and vacant properties, of which there are about 35,000 here in this county, has been devastating.
Mr. Rokakis, what's that mean for the tax base?
Tax base is in trouble. For example, every loss of 1 percentage point in property value will cost the city of Cleveland General Fund $1 million next year. They're projecting, I've heard different number, at least $50 million in deficits next year in the city of Cleveland budget. Amazingly, they were able to keep things steady this year. But we rely very heavily on property taxes, the school districts do, and I chair something called the Board of Revision. We look at people who are coming in and appealing the value of their properties, right. And it's not unusual to see people coming in asking for 35, 40, 50% reductions, and they deserve them because their properties are worth that much less.
Well, has the federal stimulus plan had any impact at all in your county?
I think the consensus here is what it is around the country, that we've seen some signs of it, but we're really not going to feel the full impact till 2010. A lot of these projects were not shovel-ready. I only wish the federal government had taken a greater interest and had provided more in the way of foreclosure prevention dollars. That's where I think we could have the greatest impact, if we could begin to stem the tide of these foreclosures, which result in all this abandonment.
Going back to the budget deficit that you mentioned for just a minute, I mean, how are you going to make up that deficit there? Are you going to have to continue to cut services in the county?
Well, county government is asking everybody to take furlough days as opposed to laying people off. The number of furlough days this year was 4 or 5. The number of furlough days next year is probably going to be doubled. It's had a devastating impact on the state pension fund. We just got word this week that the state pension fund, which allowed people to draw retirement after 30 years, is now thinking about changing the rules to saying that you can't draw your pension to age 62. And for a lot of people who entered government at 18 in the hopes of being able to draw a pension at 48 years of age, it's been a real kick in the stomach.
Well, and obviously outside of government, there have been a lot of job cuts and a lot of layoffs. The unemployment in the state in August, 10.8%. Do you think that's as bad as it's going to get?
I don't think so. I think 2010 doesn't bode any better. I think it's going to be worse. And you know that number is not real. That's what, the people that stop looking, people. I know of 2 individuals I've spoken to last night who are working 2 jobs just to try to maintain pace with the 1 job they lost in 2008, and they're earning less money in the cumulative. The 2 jobs are earning less. So, the impact is really much worse than that. It's not as bad as Detroit, where they're at 27, 28%, but I would guess unemployment in the city to be at least 18 to 20%.
Mr. Rokakis, there's a casino referendum on the ballot in Ohio in November. Are you holding out hope that that may, at some point, allow for the construction of a casino in Cleveland, bring some revenue back?
There have been numerous attempts to pass casino statewide referendums. I think this one stands a very good chance of passage because of the level of desperation people are feeling. Millions of dollars are being spent here in the airwaves. I think this one is the one that may pass.
Are you seeing any other signs of hope there that things are starting to, at the very least, stabilize, if not get better?
Well, I think to the extent that there are, I think most of the hits have been taken so far. Most of the job losses that we were going to experience, we have experienced. But as so often is the case in other recessions, Ohio or states like Ohio are the last to come out of it. I think we're going to come out of it slowly, just as is Michigan and Indiana and others. We're strong here in areas that other areas are strong. We're strong in education. We're strong in medicine. The Cleveland Clinic employs about 40,000 people. Its chief competitor, University Hospital, employs about 20,000 people. So it's not like we have no strength here, but we're going to come out of this slower than the rest of the country.